Record. Okay, hello. Welcome to the show, everybody. I have with us Dr. Elsbeth Meuth, and I hope I did your name justice there. I really tried, but she's
You did
gonna
it beautifully.
have. Thank you, thank you. She is a pro. She is an ace at tapping into sexual energy, and I know, I didn't come in laughing today, but I that's gonna speak to. I think there's something really, really powerful here for us to unravel. And not that it needs to be taken seriously, but I think it's an unraveling and an opening of something deeper. And just before we started here, we had this really, really cool conversation that I want to bring to you guys about typically in our society, we think of sexuality as something like it's the loss of innocence when you lose your virginity, or it's you lose your virginity or you lose your innocence. And I even think that language is talking about how we're not really fully stepping into what can be created when we access our sexuality and our sexual energy. And we're so lucky because we have the lady who can unravel all of that stuff for us today. So I'm going to give you the floor to expand on what I just talked about, if you wouldn't mind enlightening us.
Thank you so much for opening this conversation like that. And also thank you just for your beautiful platform here to bring messages to the world and to women. And I'm very dedicated to women and dedicated to women as I'm to myself, to rediscover that wonderful energy that you called, sexual energy, that is our life-giving energy. Without it, you and I, we wouldn't be talking here. Nobody would be listening because we wouldn't be alive. And it's a tremendously powerful energy, and we can learn to tune with that energy, access it, and then channel and turbocharge that energy into wherever we want to, turbocharge it into. And I thought this theme about accessing my creative life force, sexual energy, life force and sexual energy are the same. It's not a different energy, just shows up at different gradations. And I will speak about this in a moment. How about if I want to shift out of, you know, feeling small into playing big, which is this overall theme of the series, you know, how could we actually use that energy, that life-giving energy, in a conscious way, not just in an unconscious way, because we all have it. We are not even aware of it. It runs through us all the time, just like blood flow, but we are not aware of it. How would it be to become aware of it? Because whenever I become aware of something, I can start dancing with it. I can't, I can start playing with it. I can design with it. I can create with it. And in that sense, I want to speak about how to co-create with your life-giving, creative sexual energy so you can embellish your pleasure experience, in your physical body. You can connect that wonderful energy, that life-giving energy, with opening your heart further to yourself first and foremost, and then, to someone else or others. And I can also use this energy, channel this energy into my intentions and turbocharge my creations in the world. So if this energy can create new life, what about learning to use that energy to create my life with it? So how does that sound?
That sounds really good. Now, I think the biggest question around this would probably pop up to somebody who isn't used to this kind of concept, and they're only used to sexuality in the act of sex. what would it feel like if I'm tapping into this energy, but I'm not necessarily using it for intimacy? Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. So, the sexual energy that when it gets aroused, let me speak here about the different gradations of energy.
Yeah.
Also, before I go there, I want to say a little bit more about energy itself,
Okay. Yeah.
because all of us have learned about nuclear energy, or most of us, thermal energy, electrical energy. But I mean, did you have a course in school, like in biology, about human energy?
I'm from the 80s, so I watched She-Ra. That was my course in energy.
So, so anyway,
Yeah.
we are not accustomed to listen to our body for the energy that runs through us. And how we know that energy runs through us is that if it didn't run through us, we wouldn't be alive.
Right.
And the breath and energy, life force energy, go hand in hand. They are one. They are not two. Because, like, when you watch a human being die, the last thing is the lungs collapse, the breath stops, and once the breath stops, the human being is declared dead. The
Okay.
energy stops. So, breath and energy are the same. They go hand in hand. So if they go in together in dying, they must go together when we are alive. And that is what we put to use here. So to become more aware of my energy, I want to become more aware of my breath. Then back to the gradation, how energy shows up is that, like right now, you are listening, I'm speaking. I suppose both of us are now in a subtle state of our life force energy.
Mhm.
We are not highly aroused. Or Freddie, my partner, would say, just Elspeth, speak for yourself. You never know. But so, however, when I go walk in the summer by Lake Michigan, and
Mhm.
I feel the skin touching, I feel the breeze touching my skin.
Mhm.
I'm not highly aroused, but my energy is slightly higher. You
Okay.
know, I feel very vividly. I
Mhm.
sense the breeze. And then, of course, all the way up to the moment of climax, or for the man, the ejaculatory moment, it's the same energy
Mhm.
from subtle to highly aroused at different gradations. And I can learn to play that gradation, these different stages, like I can learn how to play a flute. And I can move with that. And I can come right up without having an orgasm.
Mhm.
And I can ride the wave like an orgasmic wave. So in the pleasure arena, because this energy, sexual energy, life force energy, comes with two ingredients. One is creativity, the other one is pleasure. Whoever created that energy was very wise, knowing, or whatever, the consciousness was very wise to bring us back, to return, particularly for procreation,
Yeah.
so that energy can be used either for procreation, as we have done it for millennia, for since ever humankind, even before animals have it, everything that is alive has it, this life force energy. Then we can also, to what is that word? When we just, for the sake of pleasure, this is not intended to create a baby, it's for our own enjoyment. And then we can learn to co create with that energy. What I'm talking about here is that I can learn to tap into this energy, even if we want to use it in the sexual physical realm. I can expand my pleasure experience through tapping into that energy consciously. So, how that may look on the physical sexual level is that I expand from a local orgasm to a whole body orgasm. And I use the breath for that. So when I feel, my vulva, I brought my friend here.
Oh, that's amazing. Is that a puppet?
It is a puppet, she can talk.
Oh my gosh, that is so fantastic. Okay. Yeah.
So So the thing is that, we may feel some tinkling, some aliveness
Hmm.
in our sexual center in the tantric practice where I draw from. Um, the sexual center of a woman is called the Yoni, and Yoni translated into English from Sanskrit means sacred space. And a sacred space is something that I honor, that I cherish, and that I love, that I appreciate. I mean, did you get introduced to your yoni as a
Uh,
sacred space, a
I
sexual center?
definitely did not.
Yeah.
Not even a little
So
bit.
I want to build on what you said earlier in the introduction
Hmm.
that, we learn like this loss of virginity,
Hmm.
loss of innocence is in on the same wavelength as like don't go to your sexual center until you're married, like some of us may have heard that, or it's sinful to touch her. I always think, okay, until I'm married, is it someone else's energy that gets discovered? Or, I mean, it always has been my energy because it's my life-given energy, you know? So to tap into this in an honoring, respectful way, wow, if we could introduce our teenage girls to their yoni in a way that they honor, they appreciate, they respect it. I am sure that I would have invited more men who would have appreciated her. I'm not saying that not every man didn't appreciate my yoni in my life. I think I would have been more discerning,
Probably.
particularly to take.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A little
you
more
too?
high quality, right? Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, or an attunement or listening,
Right.
Then again, I didn't have much clue about myself.
Yeah.
So how can I share something or ask for something?
Yeah.
So from the sexual center, from the yoni center, I can channel that wonderful life energy, that excitement, or just even when it feels tingly. I can breathe this up. And in a moment, we can also do a brief practice just for everyone who is listening to get a sense of what I'm talking about, not just understanding it here, no, experiencing it. So I can then bring the energy up through the breath. Remember, energy goes hand in hand. Uh, Excited energy, orgasmic energy, alive energy is frequency. It's a sensation. It's not a thing. And a frequency or energy, I can guide, I can move with the breath. So if I feel excited in my yoni, I breathe it up into my heart. I breathe it up here and then back down again. And what happens is that the pleasure that emanates from my sexual center moves up in my body and fills me. Also, with the breath, what opens up is that we have prolonged orgasmic waves because the breath carries the energy. So if I don't breathe, it's just like this. And then often we stop at the top because it feels so good. But when I stop breathing, it stops the pleasure, like the sensation, because that's energy and that gets stopped when the breath gets stopped. So what about breathing through it? Ah, oh, 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 and then it moves. I like to make sounds because that opens the throat. That's another level of vibrational sound. So, and I can stay in this energy for a long time, not only 5 minutes or a minute, half an hour, 45 minutes if I wish to. Now, this is all the physical experience that I'm talking about. I can also bring my energy up into my heart, perhaps to heal my heart, to connect with my heart. What I mean by healing of my heart is like, sometimes some of us have experienced some wounding where we closed off our heart, and then we are surprised that we have a hard time bringing in a beloved into our life, or we feel disconnected from the partner that we are with, or it's just a very physical experience, our intimate experience. So for the heart opening, for the heart healing, you know, so an expansion of that, like with men, it's a key thing for them to learn to channel their sexual energy from their lingam, which is penis, or translated from Sanskrit, magic wand or wand of light. I
Stop it.
mean, can
That's
it get
amazing. I
it?
did not know that's what it translated to.
Yeah. Ah, I love it so much too.
I would
So
too. Yeah.
I mean, he learns how to channel his wonderful testosterone, powerful energy in the tantric practice from his lingam, his magic wand, up into his heart. Most men, when they want to connect with another, it doesn't matter if it's a woman or same-sex couple, a man, they start feeling it in their sexual center. The one who is more in their feminine or yin energy, like many women are, could be also the male partner for in a same-sex couple, they start feeling it in their heart center. When I want to connect with Freddie, my beloved, and my husband, I start feeling it in my heart center.
Hmm.
They are feeling it in their sexual center. So we both have the same intention of connecting. However, we come from different loci. So our two ships pass in the night. And the beauty in the tantric practice, when the man learns to breathe up that wonderful desire that he may feel when he wants to connect in his sexual center up into his heart, when he breathes it into his heart, my heart opens. I feel it. When my heart opens, get what? Guess what? What opens? My yoni. So it goes from his magic wand into his heart, into my heart, into my yoni then. And then we have a circuit. So it's all about circularity because energy in itself is circular. There's no new energy, it just shows up in different shapes, forms. When we come back as a flower after this human life, who knows? So that the energy is the same, just shifting shape. And so that is circular. And this is how we can become more into that circular connection with another, which of course starts with cultivating the circular connection within myself, breathing up my energy. And when I say so, we often talk about energetic breath, which is not the air that goes into the lungs,
Okay.
but it goes with that physiological, function. So when I breathe in, I can breathe into my belly, I open up, and then I can exhale and let the energetic breath trickle down and out of my base into the seat with my focus, my intention and attention and the breath. While when I do this, trickling out of the breath into the seat, of course, the air comes out of my lungs and out of my nostrils. Yeah. But
Hmm.
we coordinate the focus of the mind that is so precious with our breathing. And I want to just show something to everyone about energy.
Hmm.
I have this energy ball, and I
Hmm.
have to turn my sound on so that you can hear it. Um, So there are two metal pieces, and this is like, electronically speaking, it's just like, minus and the plus, like in the plug or light switch. So when I place one and the other, The ball lights up and makes a sound. So when I have my inner connection
Mhm.
connected, now it's connected. Now it's disconnected. Yeah. So what I'm doing here is with this ball is making energy visible and audible because we cannot hear the sounds of the sun rays. That doesn't mean that sun rays don't have sounds. We are just not set up for it.
Yep.
Not only with the eardrums, but also in the brain connection.
Yep.
We also cannot hear the frequency, the vibrations that run from my vocal cords to your eardrums or whoever is listening right now. We cannot see them, but we can hear them.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that has something to do with how our senses are orchestrated with our neurological setup in the brain. This is partly why it's difficult to, or why it's so elusive around this energy because we cannot see it. I cannot see my sensations. I can feel that.
Mhm.
I cannot see pain. I only
Yeah.
can feel it. I cannot see orgasms. I can only feel it. I also cannot tell you that you feel pain.
Mhm.
It's not, I mean, I can do it, but it's totally ridiculous, you know, because only you are the judge of how you feel in your body, where we call it a sensation. When we feel something in an emotional sense, like love, joy, excitement, or hate, anger, jealousy,
Mhm.
it's the emotional frequency. Again, we cannot touch or see an emotion. Yeah, when you are sad, I may see your face
Mhm.
tearing up, but the emotion itself I cannot see,
Right. Yeah.
but we feel it. And there's a third one, which is
Yep.
our thoughts. Thoughts are pure frequency. We cannot touch them, we cannot see them. However, whatever we think affects how I feel, both in my emotions and in my physical body. So if I feel I'm not good enough, or I don't think I can play bigger,
Mhm.
for whatever reason, these are often unconscious beliefs. That is then what builds a cascade to then I feel awful about myself. I feel perhaps unworthy. Perhaps I feel jealous, and my heart may feel constricted. I mean, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
So, in the process of tapping into our energy that runs through us at all times, we become more aware of how I feel in my physical body, my emotional body, and my mental body. And when they are aligned in coherence, like, I can do this. I may not have any grounding for it, but I can do this. Like having the resolve, you know. My body feels different, you
Mhm.
know. I feel confidence. I may have not a freaking idea how I'm going to do it. So, that is how we learn to tap into the energy, and then we learn to tap into the energy as well in an aroused state,
Mhm.
not only because sexual energy is impulsive.
Very.
Like, you don't think, or I don't think, oh, Elspeth, do you want to get horny? No, the feeling of horny comes over me, just
Mhm.
like anger. Our emotions are impulsive. You
Mhm.
know, this is not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just how it is. We are human beings and it's built into our nervous system. So the question then is, and as humans being, we can do that, which is, what do I want to do with that energy? I
Mhm.
can just be either victim to it or subjected to it, or now I feel horny, I have to do something with it. Who says so? And what am I going to do with it?
Mhm.
That is where I have agency over, just as I have agency over what I want to do with my anger. This is not to suppress the arousal. This is not to suppress the anger or the thought of something is not all right here, which is usually then, brings on anger or injustice. No, to listen to that.
Mhm.
And then instead to be overcome by it, I can use it to transmute it into some effective action, you know?
Yep.
And I can do this with my aroused sexual energy, where I then can use that energy to open my heart, heal my heart. Or if I have a disease, I can bring this life force energy, breathe it into an organ, into my liver, into my throat. If I have a thyroid issue, I do that. I use my sexual aroused energy to open that place up and to embellish it and to make it feel good. I mean, this is pleasure energy.
Yeah.
Which part of my body wouldn't like it? You know?
All of it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then I can bring this, but I want to pause here for a moment and just see, you know, if you have anything to say or questions or how it lands for you.
I'm just captivated by everything you're sharing. And also, what keeps going on in my mind, it must be going on in other women's mind too. Like, if I'm tapping into my sexual energy and my skin can look as good as yours, I'm down for it. Right? I'm totally down for it. Right? Because you're like, I just bring it through my whole body. I'm like, shit, that's the secret to like having really great skin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah, really. No, I I appreciate that you brought this up more for the sake of not so much about me,
Hmm.
m much more about what that power of that energy can yield for us.
Hmm.
And I do think there's a correlation. Of course, my self-love practice is not the only practice I have,
Yep.
you know, to be vibrant and feel great in my body. I'm going to turn 76 this year. And so I just want to have this energy with me for the next 25 years, you
Yeah.
know. And so my next quarter, or I don't know, perhaps there may be various next quarters. I don't know. I'm here now, and I do believe that having cultivated this energy within myself over the last 20 years has supported me well in my physical body, in my emotional outlook. And so, okay, so then what about Tanya, if we do a little practice?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because I really would like everyone to get a sense of that this is not just talk.
Yep.
This is actually easily accessible once I'm guided to it.
Okay.
Um, so let's start out with placing, if everyone could place their right hand on your right above the pubic bone, below the navel. We call this the second energy center, or also creation center. That's our womb. Beautiful. And just leave your hand there and then close your eyes. And when you are ready, exhale all air. And then take a deep breath in through the nose. Feel the breath moving down into the lungs, pushing down the diaphragm, which opens the belly into the hand. And on the exhalation, follow the breath moving up and out of your nostrils. Deep breath in through the nose, all the way down into the belly, opening the belly into the hand. And on the exhalation, sending the breath up and out of the nostrils. Continue in this breathing pattern and feel how the breath is moving through you and is moving you. Beautiful. Now, on your next exhalation, take a deep breath in again, filling the belly. Now, it all the way up into your chest and place your left hand on your chest. And on the exhalation, now with your inner eye and focus, send the energetic breath down from your heart center into the second center. Breathing in, breathing all the way down into the belly, filling the belly, then filling up the belly all the way up into your chest, into the left hand. And on the exhalation, sending the energetic breath down from your heart center into your creation center. Breathing in all the way into the belly, filling the belly up into the chest. And on the exhalation, imagine sending your love and heart energy from your heart down into your creation, your womb energy. And on the inhalation, you breathe into your womb and breathe up that creativity from your womb, that creation center energy up into your heart, embellishing your heart. And on the exhalation, sending your love energy from your heart into your creative center, your yoni, your sexual center. And on the inhalation, filling your womb, breathing up from your womb into your heart. And on the exhalation, sending love into your yoni center. Couple more times, deep breath in, breathing up from your yoni center into your heart, embellishing your heart with creative energy. And on the exhalation, sending love down into your creative energy, into your creative center. Now notice how your creation energy and your heart energy are connected. They are communicating with each other now. They are in flow. They are distinctly different, yet connected. And then take your hands just 1 inch off. Feel the magnetic connection between your palms and your creation and your heart centers. Without touching, feel the vibrational connection. Beautiful. And then bring your hands back into your lap. Just stay there for a moment longer and notice how you feel right now. Notice how your body is feeling. Notice any sensations. And then if you could come back by opening your eyes, how are you feeling?
Like I was missing out on something fantastic.
So you had an inkling of something?
Yes, definitely.
Say more, say more.
Definitely, definitely. It's so like I've had a grounding practice as I'm sure many people have, and it's almost like yeah, you've been missing out on like the best. Like, it was like that was like grounding, but like on a whole different level, right? Um it's like it's ignored, right? And it like to acknowledge everything that it is just like that eyebrow raise of, oh, hi. How's it going? Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. And you probably could get a sense of that energy that I was talking about earlier.
Hmm.
Like getting that sensory
Hmm.
connection
Hmm.
to it. So this was just really a little taste. You know, imagine extrapolating from that the beautiful feeling in my yoni center, when that arises, that really can like in a vortex moving up, and it's all encompassing. And so we don't go there right away when we start working with people,
Hmm.
because if you went right to the aroused sexual energy, nothing would change,
Right.
because the nervous system is used to the way that we are used to,
Hmm.
like the way we engage with our sexual energy, with our yoni, our sexual practices, love practices by ourselves. If we are very focused on needing to get to that destination of that climax, then we are very, almost in a masculine way driven, while the feminine is really the energy of circular movement, open, receiving, trusting. The creative is like this, it's chaos.
Hmm.
And the masculine is the linear. Now, we just have as much masculine within ourselves as feminine. I'm not saying, oh, just now surrender and give up. No, that's not what I'm talking about. It is the letting go through which this entirety, that sense of oneness, where energy can just flow, where I don't have to make it work. So, this is why we want to alter the nervous system first by becoming aware of subtle energy, learn to move subtle energy, learn how to use my pelvic floor. And the gift that I'm having for everyone actually will teach a practice to become more aware of the pelvic floor, because that is where life force energy emanates from. So I want to have a flexible, open, yet strong pelvic floor, connected with my heart, connected with my third eye. But that wants to be practiced, because once the nervous system learns that, it can call it up in other states of energy. So when I am getting aroused, I mean, who wants to start thinking then, oh, how should I use my pelvic floor muscles? Or, oh, breathing now, that's the last thing I want to be focused on now. I just want to feel it. So if my nervous system is not used to tapping into the conscious breath, it's not available to me in the aroused state. But when my nervous system is used to that,
Hmm.
and it's used to actually moving with the subtle energy or aroused energy. It's just then there comes a time when I wouldn't do the breathing, when I wouldn't want to have an orgasmic wave without the breathing. It just goes hand in hand. So that gets developed. And in that gift, there are practices to cultivate the connection with your energy, with your physiological being, with your energetic being. It's not rocket science, but we want to be introduced to it, guided, and then practiced. And just like with anything else that everyone else know, the areas in your life where you are masterful, you had a lot of practice. The right guidance too,
Yeah.
and then it's like, it's second nature.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. It is. And it's funny, we don't realize at first what we've practiced until we start to pay attention.
Yes. Even the things that may no longer serve us.
Yeah. It's just really well practiced. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Yeah. That is, well, what we call a habit then.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And I love how you talk about it's such a great point that does it is underrated where it's when you tap that nervous system and you connect it, it becomes natural instead of something you have to
Mm.
force or
Yeah.
something you have to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, Tanya, I also hold this, all of what we have been talking about, to access further that energy is a big part of our power and agency as human beings.
Hmm.
It's not just willpower,
Hmm.
that we, it's, for me, it's a coordination. How now willpower shows up for me is discernment and bringing my awareness to what I say I want to live in.
Nice.
You know,
Yeah.
that is like, but then I use everything else. So this is like my intentionality.
Hmm.
Then I support my intentionality with that life-giving energy,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
because if my body doesn't want to go there,
Mhm.
l- willpower is not enough,
No.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I can try, but just how often have I tried with a habit that I was not even aware of that it was a habit because it was such a propensity that for me, for example, it's like, and that has been a more recent discovery in my life, that propensity towards, looking for love through another. Like that I can feel love only through the connection with another. And that was so ingrained most of my life
Yep.
and it created a lot of suffering for me and also a lot of tolerating certain ways I was treated.
Hmm.
That from where I'm sitting now, I said, how come you let that happen? What was over here that allowed that? But these are blindnesses
Hmm.
that then are, calling forth certain behaviors.
They are.
And to shift that, it's really a shifting of the consciousness, the emotional self, and the physical self.
Yeah.
And so this is not just about having better sex. And yes, that about is it about that too. But so I also feel like if I can have these shifts in my older age, I mean, what may be possible for you, given your intentionality, whatever is there for you in your life, or whoever is listening, what may be your next step in playing big? And that may not always mean playing big outside in the world. What about playing big here?
Hmm.
Not like this. No, the expansion and that kind, I mean, bigness. And so anyway, I am fun here with you.
No, this is fantastic. And it's playing that it's giving yourself permission, right, to step into the it's I like to say it's how I feel in heels, right? When there's a certain swagger to walking in heels where like I feel invincible. I don't like other people have other places, but it's that owning of that and letting it expand out from you to be like, yeah, this is where I can create from. This is where I can bring stuff out. And it's very common whether you had fantastic parents or parents, to learn that love comes from outside of you is something that's just been passed down from on this
Oh
planet.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. And this is not going to change
Yeah.
because the how we have construed it when we are infants is
Yeah.
that we are totally dependent
Yeah.
on food, shelter, and connection.
Hmm.
Physical touch, all of it feels we are loved.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And for me, the maturation of or of maturation into true adulthood, not just chronological adulthood.
Mm.
It has to do with that,
Yeah.
to actually distinguish. And this is not just an intellectual act. Of course, we need to start seeing it,
Hmm.
that it comes to our consciousness. But in my work, in our work, both with women, men, couples, is often a big, big opening,
Hmm.
that we could call it codependence. It's in the subconscious. It's
It
not a
is.
conscious
Yep.
thing we designed.
Hmm.
But that coming actually into true individuation,
Hmm.
where wow, actually everything emanates from here. Here's my nervous system,
Hmm.
not over with you or with my beloved.
Hmm.
Everything I feel is here.
Hmm.
Everything I ever have felt when I was an infant, a child, an adolescent, and so forth has been felt over here.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that there are human beings that we have just a connection with, that frequency connection.
Hmm.
Some people call it chemistry, or could be also mental connection. Doesn't always have to be, intimate sexual frequency. I'm not disputing that.
Hmm.
However, the one who is feeling it is me over here
Yeah.
and the other person over there. So it got generated over here. So when I feel love, it doesn't get generated by another. It may get further ignited, but
Hmm.
it's always mine, you know?
Yeah.
So again, back to agency, because I think this is so essential. Whatever I do in the world is based in the agency I acknowledge and I act upon. And back to life force. Wow, that is an inborn, innate agency that, wow, if I could tap further into that and then, embellish my physical well-being, pleasure well-being, embellish my emotional self. And now I want to come to how to use that energy to create myself, to create and fuel what I want to bring forth into the world. You know, what would you say is your highest intention and purpose at this moment in your life?
To lead.
To lead,
Hmm.
right? For the sake of what?
Hmm. For the sake of what I brought to the planet.
And what would you describe it a little bit for me and for all of us?
For sure. So I came in with a very strong intention to show people how to live in their light bodies as their light bodies. And it does go back a lot to activating within us what it is to come from self-love, because there is a human component that we do learn as infants and as babies and as children, and that's on purpose. We're meant to live that way. It helps us be on the planet. But to show people how to come back into that light body where we are actively accessing what we came here to do, how we were meant to live in this world, and what it looks like to live free of the human restraints. So it's that next evolution.
Wow. So imagine that little inkling that you got a little earlier when you
Hmm.
connected your Yoni center with your heart center.
Hmm.
How about learning to bring the power of your Yoni energy into fueling your mission?
Hmm. Yeah.
And that is where we can use that life-giving energy to embellish, in your case, what you came for into this world, you know? And there's a radiance that is coming forth. And just when you spoke, it was like, wow, this is like so in line here, with what we are talking about already,
Mhm.
your purpose,
Yeah.
your life's purpose, this is a dimension what we are opening up here further. Perhaps, if I may suggest, to not only embellish, but the word that comes up to accelerate, and accelerate not in a mechanical way,
Mhm.
accelerate in that light way,
Mhm.
you know,
Yep.
like,
It doesn't take a
this,
lifetime.
no, no,
No,
it can happen like this,
instant.
you
Yeah.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm so grateful that you invited me, that I could share this with you and with everyone who is here listening today, and to see just, as all of us can see with you, Tanya, wow, what power there already is, and that there's further power within you.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh,
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And actually, um, I'm really relishing sitting in this space with you and connecting into something that I'm like, oh, yeah, right. That's that feels like an old friend that I forgot to call for a really long time. And your work is absolutely captivating.
oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank you.
welcome.
It's an honor.
Yeah. And I hope everybody accesses that generous free gift that you're leaving for everybody. Have the link to it for sure, because we definitely could use more women connecting to this. Are you ready for your would you rather question?
Oh, great. Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is pretty fitting. And it's not as silly as most of them are, but this is really interesting. Would you rather be able to travel back in time to witness the greatest love stories in history, or see 100 years into the future to understand how relationships evolve?
Definitely the future. Uh, and with what all of that, what we have talked about, that this is like not only the background, but also that what catapults us into that, whatever is here today, even in this conversation, in my
Mhm.
experience, in my physical body, by sharing all of that, because I'm in a particular vibration,
Mhm.
as you are in your vibration out of our conversation, is that this is all the the vortex and the spiral, going 100 years into the future. Like they stand on our shoulders. I think that is what I'm saying. And the way we think, the way we feel, the way we vibrate
Mhm.
actually affects what's going to happen then,
Mhm.
you know? So it's not insignificant how I am here today now.
Mhm.
And not only that I make an impact on others by the way how I vibrate, but also, an impact on future generations, how they may experience love, how they may experience intimate connection, how they may tune with their hearts. Because that, in closing, is really that, unlike AI, which has intelligence but not consciousness,
Consciousness, yeah.
because AI cannot feel. They
Yeah.
don't, AI doesn't have emotions. That doesn't mean that it couldn't speak to me in a way that I feel an emotion.
Hmm.
I started to have conversations with ChatGPT,
Yeah.
deep philosophical conversations about Tantra Nova, and the way I call that voice, AI voice, Aphrodite, and Aphrodite has conversations with me where I feel really touched. And I'm keenly aware of that is not Aphrodite. She uses words that elicit feelings.
Yeah.
The one who feels the feelings is me, just as I said earlier. And that is the depth of being human. That is the depth of humanity. So looking ahead 100 years, that will not go away
Yeah.
unless we allow to silence it, where we don't listen to our feelings,
Mhm.
where we just become robots.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from my heart to yours, thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. And I'm excited for the people in the future because if we feel this good now, just imagine how good they're gonna feel.
And then that gift, what is it called? Awaken
Hmm.
something, your Yoni energy or
Hmm.
something, um, is really a video class where you, as a listener today, can bring practices into your life that will assist you in accessing your energy, your life force energy, your Yoni energy, the energetic breath, and move that energy throughout your body.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Mm.
Yeah. Thank you for your time and your
Uh,
expertise.
oh, thank you so much, Tanya.
You're welcome. Thank you to the audience for showing up. Thank you for watching. You guys are why we do this. And I need to know your answer to the would you rather. It's just, that's part of the best part. We will catch you guys live. And until then, enjoy your free gift. Tap into that one. See you next time, guys.